Tom always tells us when it's 5:30. Here we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Craig Scott, Mark Serbrook,
Present.
Charles Wiltie,
Present.
Roger Mayhew,
Yes.
Jenny David.
Here. Approval of the agenda. Any additions or corrections? Someone entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Support.
Motion from Commissioner Serbrook, support from Commissioner Wiltie. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3, declarations of conflicts of interest. Any commissioners?
None.
Item 4, review of minutes. April 24th, 2025, regular meeting minutes.
Make a motion.
Support.
Motion from Commissioner Wiltie, support from Commissioner Serbrook. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4B, May 1st, 2025, committee of the whole meeting minutes.
I had the opportunity to read them over. I'd make a motion that we accept the minutes.
Motion from Commissioner Serbrook. Support from Commissioner Mayhew. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4C, May 1st, 2025, closed session meeting minutes. Those were all in front of us when we got here.
That's correct. I read the closed session meeting minutes. Make a motion, we approve them.
Support.
Motion from Commissioner Wiltie, support from Commissioner Serbrook. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 5, public comment and agenda item manners only. Any public comment in the room? Any public comment on the phone? Item 6, correspondence, we received and filed from Ogemaw County EMS Authority related to the EMS equipment millage update. Item 7, how do you guys feel about taking these together? We pretty much covered all of them, I thought, during the committee of the whole.
I don't have any objection to taking them all at the same time.
You okay with that, Commissioner Wiltie?
Yeah, typically I know we don't, but I think we've covered these ones real well and yeah, I'm fine with that.
I agree too. Item 7A, resolution to approve Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan Administrative Service Agreement. Item 7B, resolution to approve part-time secretary job description. Item 7C, resolution to approve an agreement for Marine Patrol Services. Item 7D, resolution to approve an agreement for student loan management services. Item 7E, resolution to approve a Michigan Works on-the-job training contract.
Make a motion that we approve items 7A through 7C on the consent agenda.
7E or 7, you said 7C.
Did I say, I thought I said E, I'm sorry.
Okay, 7A through,
7A through E.
Support.
Commissioner Mayhew already supported.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Since there's so many here, we will do a roll call vote.
Jenny David.
Yes,
Roger Mayhew,
Commissioner Mayhew.
Yes,
Charles Wiltie.
Yes.
Mark Serbrook.
Yes.
Item,
whatever we got, I ain't hearing good.
oh, you hear something?
Yeah, something's going, but we'll get through.
Is there,
I think it's the lights this time. Seriously, or maybe it's these, but air handler I know is off.
There's something. I can hear it
you
all.
need me to? Item 8, new business, Phil Durst and Penny Paya Economic Development Corporation activities. Hi, guys. Thanks for being here.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
My name is Phil Durst. I am representing tonight Ogemaw County EDC, of which I'm the board president, and this is.
Penny Paya, I'm the director of EDC.
So Penny and I thought, what are we going to tell you about? Because we have so much to tell you. And I said, we can't tell them everything. What we have to do is focus. And so what we're going to try and do is focus on a few things that represent much larger, much greater work. So for the first thing I want to tell you about is our strategic planning process. So we know there's a lot of needs in the counties and a lot of opportunity in the county. And I think it's the opportunity that gets us excited most. And so what we wanted to do was to be strategic about how we focus our time and our energy and our limited resources in order to help the county best achieve more job growth, which is what we do, right? Business growth equals job growth. Job growth equals more tax money. Well, that's good news, right? So that's what we do. And so we had a strategic planning session. We used Julie Darton of MSU Extension, as I believe you did in your planning session. And we focused on what those things were most important that we believe in the county, what things could we have the greatest impact on? We're still processing that. We're still trying to figure out how to wrap our hands and head around that. But that's what we're doing. We're trying to focus on the things that will bring the greatest return, because frankly, returns is what we're looking for. Okay? Second thing I want to tell you about is our revolving loan fund. Now, you know that we have 2 loans out right now, okay? Because those loans were paid back through the county, and that's through USDA had given us loan money. And so we have a little bit of loan money left, right? Not committed to the other 2 loans. And we said, we don't want to sit on money. What we want to do is get money out working. And so right now we're talking with somebody for the potential of again, making another loan so we can get money out working, because working money produces jobs, and that's what we're all about. Penny.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to touch base on some of the projects that we've been doing. They've been many years in the works, but we are just now starting to see some really great opportunities come through and some changes. Even though housing is not one of our committees any longer, it's because we've moved it over to share with the county and in the advisory board that's been created. But that has been a 3+ year project. We have been at the table for anybody that was talking about housing. And as the years have gone by, it has been funneled down to where we are now, where we can focus on exactly what's going on in Ogemaw County and how we can make those changes. We've been very diligent about staying on as part of that conversation. And then that's the same thing that we've been doing with childcare and also with broadband. Broadband, couple of meetings ago, we were looking at the fact that this BEAD funding was coming to an end, but we didn't have any really good solid leads on anybody doing anything for the county. You know, some phone calls that were needed and were put into place, and then all of a sudden we have 4. Those 4, even if they are awarded, aren't going to settle all of our issues with or lack of broadband, but it's a start. And I have had many conversations with the state of Michigan on, okay, what do we do with the areas that aren't covered by that? Because we were told that the BEAD was going to be at the end of it, that everybody was going to be covered and we were going to move on. And they're like, okay, we realized that was kind of a high hope kind of situation. And there will be round B of the BEAD money to start picking up other people, other homes, other areas, townships that are not covered. So we're staying on that topic. The other part that we've been working on is childcare, and childcare in the house. That's another thing. We have written the grants. We have been part of the neighboring grants, part of the quad grant, part of NEMSCA, NEMCOG, DI, anything that we could be at the table for, we were. And now we're starting to see the products from that diligence that we have put out there. The big action step from the childcare is there is a new MSO. It is managed, I wrote it down, Managed Services Organization. That's kind of a long-term it's going to be a project. It's a website to start with that has been developed. You can look it up. It's called Childcare Back Office. You can search that and you can watch the process, watch the progress as we go through. There's going to be a lot of solutions, a lot of things that incoming childcare, existing childcare can go to get the help to do things together. So it's more cost economic for them. It is a big project. The state caught wind of what the project was going to be happening, and correct me if I'm wrong on these steps, but they said, this is great. We want to jump on. We don't want it just to be for your quad. We want to make it for the state, and we're going to throw some money at it. So that's awesome. And we are going to stay as active as we can. The EDC is pushing forward, pushing on, going to all those conversations and making things work here in the county. And you only said 2 things. I went 3. But we are making some great strides and it's awesome.
Do you have any questions for us? Comments?
Commissioner Wiltie.
I appreciate you guys. Obviously, you know, on the EDC and working with you guys, and we do have a lot of really good things going on. And obviously, these items that you spoke to tonight are very important items for the county, for the progression of the county. And it's really nice to know that we have traction in all of those items and we're heading in the right direction. So thank you.
I've heard more and more about the EDC, so you guys are definitely getting more and more out there in the public. I hear them at our township board meetings, which is nice, which has really picked up over the last couple of years. So your guys' presence is definitely known to the community and much appreciated. Childcare is one of the huge dilemmas, along with housing. Talk to people who want to start a daycare, you know, all the stipulations, all the rules, all the regulations that come with all of that. I think people are fearful of it. I've heard a few people talk about them. I direct them to you guys to walk them through that process, so I will continue.
Direct them now. NEMSCA is a great partnership. And if you know Lisa and you know Francis, they have a project going on, a movement, and they are giving us kind of first dibs on the building that they have that's already been processed through the licensing kind of thing. And it would be a really great opportunity for another childcare to open up. So
It is very much needed.
Nice.
It's the number one complaint I hear from people is childcare.
Right.
So Commissioner Mayhew? Commissioner Serbrook?
Thank you very much for all you guys' work. Appreciated, believe me.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You guys have some great board members. How are you guys doing as far as from a financial standpoint?
We're scraping by.
Because a lot of my townships did donate or
Yes.
provide funding.
We
Very
appreciate that very much.
absolutely.
But you know, it's tough.
Very
But we maximize everything we can.
perfect. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Have a good night, you guys.
Francis,
Right.
how are you? NEMSCA Strategy and Development Director.
So we're gonna have two dynamic presentations and I'm really happy that I got to see Penny. I haven't seen her in a little while, and Phil, when I first started with NEMSCA over 15 years ago, was one of my first partners when you were at MSU Extension. So it's nice to see familiar faces. You are? Nice. How many years has it been?
140.
So
He's not counting though.
thanks for allowing me to come back again this year to present our annual report. I think most of you know who I am, but thank you for the introduction, Commissioner David. My name is Frances Omani. I'm the Strategy and Development Director for the Your Community Action Agency, NEMSCA, Northeast Michigan Community Service Agency. As a reminder, we are one of 27 in the state of Michigan, and there's over 1,000 across the country. We provide a variety of programs to all ages in Ogemaw County and our core coverage area. So our annual report today, I just want to go through a couple of things. When you open it up, you can see on page 3 that we start with our mission. Our mission is to enhance the quality of life by empowering individuals and strengthening communities. That's what we're here for. That's why we've been around for almost 68 years. Or yeah, 50 years. Man, I just made a 50 years. And that's why I've been with NEMSCA for over 15 years. I believe in our mission. And I believe that what we do makes a difference in many lives that we touch. You can see the map on the bottom. Of course, in the circle, those counties are our core county areas. Of course, Ogemaw is one of those counties. But as you're probably well aware, within our Head Start preschool program, we actually expand out into several other counties, which means that we provide at least one program in 22 counties of the state of Michigan. Moving on to the next page, just a snapshot on the left is who we are. So we provide comprehensive services for all ages. We've been a 4-time Detroit Free Press Top Workplace awardee, which is super exciting, and we're very proud about that. We're also the Area Agency on Aging. We're the only community action agency actually in the state that the Area Agency on Aging, or Region 9 AAA in this area, falls under the NEMSCA umbrella. And like I said, we've been around for over 55 years. It'll be 58. To the right, this is the first time we've been able to pull this data in this manner. So it's pretty cool to look at these graphs. You can see that this top graph, we have the number of individuals served by county. So you can go through all of our core counties plus Roscommon and see how many people we actually provided services to per county in the last fiscal year. Underneath that is interesting. So this is the demographic of the ages of the people that we provided programs to. So you can see very clearly by far the ages 65 and older receive the most services from us. And then the other second in line, I guess you want to say, is 0 to 5. So basically what that shows is the most vulnerable population are the ones that we are providing that support to. And then you can see they're scattered throughout with the working age population too. Moving on to the next page, on the left side is our leadership with Lisa Boland, our CEO at the top, giving her, stance on what we accomplished in the last year and what we're looking forward to accomplish in the next year. To the right is a breakdown of our board as of when this went to print. So obviously there's been some updates. We have Commissioner Serbrook on our board right now. Poor guy, this is the third time he's had to see me in a week. I promise you won't have to see me 3 times.
I don't mind in the least, trust me.
So we appreciate Commissioner Serbrook being on our board as the Ogemaw County elected official representative, and looking forward to connecting with you and being an active board member going forward. Moving on to the next page. This is our annual revenue and annual expenditures. You can see how we're funded, and you can see how that funding goes back out. So on the right side, we always talk about that 4%. And this does not change very much from year to year, basically meaning that it's actually less than 4% of all of our expenditures stays in-house and pays for the administrative, right? So that means over 96 cents per dollar goes directly back out into our programs, into the community, paying for the salaries, things like that. Going on to the next page, these are for the people that are the delegates, right? When we pull these numbers, this is how many people that we provided programs to. So I just highlighted a few of them in this report. Just under 2,700 children were enrolled in our early childhood services program. Almost 7,000 were part of our school success partnership program. Over 1,200 individuals were assisted through our homeless prevention services program, and so on and so forth. But you can see that number in the green, that's an unduplicated count, meaning that 17,830 individuals received at least one service within our agency in the last year. To the right are a couple of our success stories that we always try to incorporate in this annual report. Because of those 17,830 people, there's 17,830 stories. And it's kind of easy to forget that. So I would ask you to take some time to look at some of those success stories on the right. The next page is actually one of the things that Penny was referring to. We're talking about some of our initiatives in the last year. So I'll skip childcare for just a moment. So we partnered with, just for a moment, I'm skipping it just for a moment. We partnered with PACE of Northeast Michigan to help launch that, which will be headquartered in Alpena, but will provide a lot of assistance to our senior population in that surrounding area. We have water assistance programs still available. That's new within the last year. We've expanded our BOSS program, and we've provided direct services through our CSBG budget. The childcare initiative that Penny was referring to is super exciting. So we partnered with NEMCOG, we've partnered with Develop by OSCO, we work with the Quad County Coalition, and we came up with a grant report, and we had 6 recommendations. Well, one of those recommendations is the one that's coming to fruition, the CCBO. And I'm losing my voice, I don't know why. So we just hired an executive director. She's originally from Michigan. She was living in Colorado. She got hired to be the executive director of the CCBO that Penny was referring to, and she's moving back to Michigan. So you'll be hearing from her probably. And if you know of anybody that's interested in opening up childcare or needs some support, please go to that website, email me, email Penny, and we'll get them connected to her. She's going to be able to provide that back office support to childcare providers to help ease that burden of all of the administrative tape, maybe recruiting, training, HR, that type of stuff. So we're really excited about that. So I wanted to end with that. Penny kind of stole my thunder. I'm sorry. Can I answer any questions?
Commissioner Serbrook, Commissioner Dodd?
Would you just touch on what we did last board meeting in regards to But I think that's really important for
As far as what,
the funding, that loan.
oh, okay, so kind of back it up with Pace.
Yeah, I was gonna say, kind of give them a background a little bit if you could.
So-
I found that very interesting myself, so.
There's multiple PACE centers throughout the state of Michigan. And they are, and I'm not an expert on exactly the ins and outs of it, but Northeast Michigan was missing. Surprise, it was a desert. There was no PACE program here in Northeast. So NEMSCA, about a year and a half ago, partnered with Presbyterian Villages from the Detroit area to act as an investor so that we could front some money so that this PACE program can be available in Alpena, Michigan, and some surrounding counties. So that was about a year and a half ago. Well, they're getting ready to open up, but unfortunately, because they are a new organization, they weren't able to secure a loan for the first, to operate the organization.
Startup,
Yeah, because they're a startup,
need
so
money.
NEMSCA was going to co-sign for them. However, our board decided to vote on the fact that we would be the loaner. And then they'd be paying us directly, to eliminate that middleman. Is that what you were?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the fact that we're gonna have a good piece of the pie there with,
We will.
along with them. And the other thing I thought that was interesting too is this PACE Northeast Michigan is a nonprofit. Most of the PACEs are a for-profit
Correct.
operation, and this one is a nonprofit. So I think that says a lot for the partnership, the collaboration. Yeah,
Right.
I'm trying to say this.
That's for the seniors that your program you're talking about?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's the second one listed on
Yeah, I see
that
that.
page 12 there, so.
Unfortunately, the PACE program that's opening up in Alpena will not expand as far as into Ogemaw because they have to have, it has to be within so many miles of where the center is. But I believe I'd have to look to see what the map is for Ogemaw, but I believe there's a PACE center that's in more of the southern area, maybe in the Saginaw Bay area. That might be the one that would touch into Ogemaw, but I'd have to look. But yeah, that's an exciting endeavor, in addition to the childcare, CCDO, all of that stuff, so.
Tell us about the new building.
Okay. Like you. So Penny already alluded to the fact that, we've had our early childhood services location with the classrooms that is just over by the overpass of, what's the? I don't
The
know.
212, it's just
Okay.
south of the 212 on Cook
Yeah.
Road, just past the Marathon
Yep,
gas
it's been there.
station. Yeah.
It's been there quite a long
Yep.
time, but recently we signed a long-term lease with, what's the old business?
It's, was JEM Fluid Power on Dam Road,
Off of
south
Dam
of
Road.
M55.
So now we're able to consolidate all of our NEMSCA staff into one building. We had a meeting there on Tuesday, which is the second time I saw you this week.
Yes.
And we did a tour. It's not quite ready to get opened up yet, but you can see where the classrooms are going to be. There's office space, the upstairs, there's a big conference room that we'll be able to use as administrative when we have board meetings, which will bring us into Ogemaw more. As far as bringing in, like I said, the board meetings and things like that. And it's just gonna be a really great place to have everything housed in one location. So,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's very nice what they did to the interior of that. I don't know what it really looked like before, but given the fact that it was an industrial business, it looks nothing like industrial today.
Where's that at? South
It's
London?
on it's take M55 to Dam Road,
right.
south,
Mhm.
just past where the softball field is there, just past that on the,
Yeah, we don't have any NEMSCA signage up yet, so there's no sign, but you can basically see what it is. But kind of like what you said, Commissioner, David, that we're waiting on licensing, and we're like licensing pros when it comes to childcare centers because of all of our multiple locations through the Head Start preschool program. We have over 100 sites. So the licensing should be pretty easy, right? But because of it's just getting harder and harder. So there's delays on the licensing to get that location up and running. So we're hoping it'll be ready for the fall school season, but we'll see. So it'll be exciting. I'm sure we'll do an open house, so we'll have to invite all of you to come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Commissioner Mayhew, anything? Commissioner Wiltie?
I just really appreciate what you guys do. It's really, impressive to see these numbers, almost 18,000 people you guys reach, and especially the senior citizens, Their senior citizens are very important. These people work their whole life, and Now they're in our, in our communities and we need to take care of them. So I think it's great what you guys do and thank you.
It speaks volumes as well, looking at your leadership page here, page 6 on your annual report. These are faces I haven't been on the board now in quite a few years, and these are the same faces.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes for your organization, because very rarely do you see that, but these faces have been there for many years. So. How long has Lisa been the president?
She's 10 years in her role currently as CEO, yeah. It'll be, I think it's just right around 10 years. And then she's got 14 years prior to that when she worked with Michigan Works, and Michigan Works used to be part of NEMSCA, so
Thank you. Thank you for the update.
you're welcome.
Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Item 8C, resolution to authorize a grant application from the County Veteran Service Fund.
This was submitted unfortunately, like about the same time we were meeting as committee of the whole, but this is the same program that was just approved here a few months ago, finally for the HVAC system at the new building. This grant would be in the amount of $53,467. It's primarily to, let's say advertise who they are, but to guide veterans to their new location and to put together handouts for services that they offer to veterans. It, I think they're seeing the great benefit of having the 4 organizations under one roof. So this is just one more opportunity for them to bring the veteran community into there for whatever services they need and to coordinate with each of the groups that are there.
This is applying for the grant or receiving the money from the
Since
grant?
to apply for the grant, they do require the board's authorization as part of the grant process to approve the application.
It also includes furniture, replacements of some desks and chairs. They've got hand-me-downs they're double hand-me-downs, I think, quite frankly. So
Can someone entertain you need a motion for this, correct?
Right.
I would make a motion that we approve the resolution for the grant application for the County Veteran Service Fund.
Motion Commissioner Serbrook, support from Commissioner Wiltie. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Roger Mayhew,
Yes.
Charles Wiltie.
Yes.
Mark Serbrook.
Yes.
Jenny David.
Yes. A letter of support for release of material management plan grant funds.
Okay, this letter is requested from our Heartland Material Management Plan group that we're a part of with those 8 counties. The group is ready to send out an RFP to hire a consultant to put together the state mandated plan. Unfortunately, for the program, the state does not front end these grants. That is to say, they don't send grant money directly to the counties, but rather they reimburse the counties for monies that they've spent. This group has talked over several meetings about their angst over that process because none of the counties has really got extra money laying around to front the cost for this, or at least the initial startup. So what they've asked each of our counties within our group to do is to sign a letter that they will send down to Lansing asking for release of, I believe, $70,000 up front so that we can get a consultant on board to begin the process. This is going to be interesting. It does appear that let's say the DNR, but I'm not sure that that's the right acronym anymore, but that they will likely
Eagle. It's Eagle,
will
yeah.
likely release those funds. But the other side of the coin is they really haven't done a very good job of defining what it is they want to see in these plans yet. So there may be further delays, even if they decide to go ahead and front those costs. Isabella County is acting as our fiduciary, so they would likely receive the funding on behalf of each of the counties. We'll administer it, making sure that it's invoiced and everything else that goes with it. But that's the letter right now is just to ask for the release of some of the funding up front.
And each one of the counties are asking for this?
They are. In fact, I had a phone call today asking where our letter was. I said, it's on the agenda. You know.
Comments, Commissioner Wiltie?
State more mandates on us counties, our counties are struggling. I understand there's a reimbursement, but still the thought process, we have to come up with the money and then get reimbursed. It's unbelievable the things that they do, but we need to support this and get this letter out.
Commissioner Mayhew?
What's that?
Any comments on this?
No.
Commissioner Serbrook.
I would make a motion that we sign the letter of support for the release of material management funds.
Do we have a support?
Support.
Motion Commissioner Serbrook, support from Commissioner Wiltie for letter of support for release of material management plan grant funds. Any further discussion?
I've had discussion with Commissioner Scott, who sits on this as a representative for Ogemaw County, and it's definitely, he's got his reservations, shall I say, about the final outcome of this, but this is a start, so it's definitely works.
We don't have a choice, it's mandated,
Yeah, exactly, but
correct?
correct.
Roll call vote.
Charles Wiltie,
Yes.
Mark Serbrook.
Yes,
Jenny David.
Yes.
Roger Mayhew.
No.
Letter of support for congressionally directed funding request.
This came across my desk on Tuesday. The Northern Michigan Children's Assessment Center in Roscommon County that provides services to Ogemaw County as well is in the process or would like to convert the former juvenile facility in Roscommon County to suit their operation. They're asking, it's a $3.5 million project. They're asking for letters of support. In this case, we'll go to Senator Slotkin for a $1 million allocation in the congressional directed spending, which apparently each senator has the ability to acquire. They are asking each of the counties that they serve to form the letter. They wanted it in 24 hours. I did let them know we can't operate that quickly. The board doesn't meet on demand, but they felt that the letter that was approved tonight would be sufficient and they would include it in their materials, even though it's a little bit later than what they wanted.
I guess I don't understand it. What are they turning that facility into?
It will be the new location headquarters of the Northern Michigan Children Assessment Center. And they'll use that building to provide some of the services that they offer. I don't know where they are right now, but apparently it's not big enough.
It was a juvenile detention center.
Right.
in Roscommon. correct.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And they're transitioning it and it's gonna cost $3.5 million.
For renovations and I haven't seen the building. I couldn't even tell you what condition it's in.
Comments, Commissioner Wiltie?
Yeah, I agree at 3.5 million. I understand construction costs. There's probably must be quite a large transformation. So this would be all state, federal funds that this money's coming to do this, right, Tim? There's nothing else that go along with this. Any expectations down the road of us, any type of support, right? This is just basically us saying we support the fact of this over in Roscommon County and it's being paid with federal funds.
In a nutshell, I think that's correct. I can't speak to what they're going to ask for in the future. Right now, we allocate $5,000 a year to their program, but there have been no indication that they're going to increase that request if they get their new building.
I have one more comment.
Go ahead.
I think we all know, I mean, they come here and they talk to us the importance of this Northern Michigan Children's Assessment Center. I mean, it's very, very crucial, important work that they're doing in a very sad topic of things that happen. So it is in Roscommon, so it's close to us. I think we should support this.
I'm just surprised she was just here. This wasn't mentioned a
It was here not long ago,
couple weeks ago.
Yeah, not long ago. Yeah, she was actually for that award. Yeah.
been a month here.
Yeah, and she spoke. My other thing, they're asking, it's a I guess I'm not comprehending this. It's a $3.5 million project, but they're asking for $1 million. So where's the other monies coming from?
That was not included in the information that was sent.
Obviously,
But
go ahead.
I believe that in looking at this, that probably the $1 million would be a specific earmark commonly called pork barrel funds, where the senators specifically designate a certain amount of money to a certain project as opposed to an overall blanket grant or whatever. And maybe that's what they're looking at for the remainder of the funding is via open grants, but they want a specific earmark for this 1 million for that project.
Because I know I highly doubt Roscommon County can can, fund the rest of the
Fund- no.
remaining. It just. I wish there was more information. I wish there was somebody here to explain it.
I wish it wasn't on such a short time frame. I mean, they wanted it in 24 hours and then we just don't do that.
So this is new to me, but I think, you know, by reading this a few times, Tim, this is probably something that's a kind of a pretty common thing, right? There might be these monies that are available, these type of opportunities come up. This is the senator. She's helped making this happen. She's kind of the one really pushing it. And this money has nothing to do, it will be no cost to us. If anything, it'll be a facility closer to us. But yeah, it is kind of confusing. She was just here within.
But I guess why the urgency then? Their fiscal year is not,
It's the deadline for this congressional monies. The deadline to actually put the application in was on April 30th.
oh,
And so what they're doing right now is just gathering those letters of support. Their application's already in. So they were, after it was evaluated, it was suggested to them that they get letters of support from the communities they serve.
so that, it'd been nice if that was included as well. Any other comments?
Federal budget's already gone to the House and the Senate, so that's probably why they're asking for this, because the president's budget has already been submitted and Congress needs to act on the budget, so they're doing their budget thing right now. They're working on the next
Yeah.
fiscal year budget.
Do you know what other counties this went out to?
Again, very general email that I received, but I understand it's all the counties they serve. Now, I don't know which counties those are outside of us and Roscommon. And when she was here with her annual report earlier in the year, she did mention other communities, but I couldn't recite them.
She did. I'm just surprised because this should have been fairly exciting and I'm so surprised that she didn't at least mention it.
Yeah.
So you just want a letter of support for this?
That's what they're asking for the board. And of course, you have to vote on it to have the chair sign it.
Yes, any further comments on this?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Okay.
Opposed?
Uh,
Motion carries.
Nobody made a motion.
I'll make a motion that
I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the chair to sign a letter of support for the congressionally directed funding request from the Northeast Michigan Community Assessment Center, or whatever the proper term is for their organization.
Motion, Commissioner Serbuk,
Northern Michigan, Southern Assessment Center.
I'll support.
support from Commissioner Wiltie. Any further discussion? I guess there is money's involved, so roll call vote.
Mark Serbrook,
Yes.
Jenny David,
Yes.
Roger Mayhew,
Yes.
Charles Wiltie.
Yes.
Item F, claims. Claims for a total of $185,011.78. I'll make a motion to pay claims. Motion with support, Commissioner Mayhew and I reviewed claims. They were pretty general, nothing really stuck out. I had a couple, I sent Tim an email today asking for explanation on it was posting for the transit mechanic position. There was two different bills in there for 500 and 508 or 503 or something like that. It was fairly expensive. It looked like it was from Indeed, correct? Is the
It was.
explanation you gave?
Yep.
I for some reason thought that was free. It definitely is not.
Yeah.
Two $500. I was gonna text you and then I text him and go ahead, Tim.
It has to do with the amount of time that he put that on there. Now, it's interesting, it was broken up that way when we did the same thing when we were advertising for the director, it was just over $500. So I'm thinking he did this over a 2-month period, which was why we had the two bills at the 500.
$1,000 for that
they-
job.
They also charge, and what's goes into that 500 is that when we get a candidate that applies for the job and we accept that candidate as qualified, which gets us into the resume and the cover letter and everything else, there's an additional charge. And that's how that goes up. And he did have several good candidates I can't remember the exact number. He did narrow it down to 5 for interviews, but yeah, it's not inexpensive, but I am reminded back before we had internet and we had things like Indeed, if you ran an ad in a newspaper, a larger newspaper, I'm not talking about the Herald, but something like up here, maybe the Saginaw News, maybe at one point was popular. It was running $300 to $400 to do a decent ad in there for several days. So it sounds expensive, and it is, but it's sort of in line, even the way it was done back in the analog days.
Typically, like the social media is free.
Yeah.
I just was shocked to see two $500 separate bills for that. It's the first time I had seen it for a job posting, with us having the county website, with all of the free technology that is out there. I was surprised to see that. Another thing was Rancheros, there was two $500 bills on there for inmate meals. So there was $1,000 total on that. There were some electricity bills. The jail looked like the electric bill, if I read that correctly, was like $305, which I thought was still pretty pricey. Go ahead.
I was just kind of a spoiler alert on the material that was passed out tonight on the utilities. Despite that, we're still almost 38% under where we were last year at this time. But now that's not electricity necessarily, because we're not using nearly as much water as we did. So I know that bill's way down too, but yeah, utilities are expensive too, but at least we've taken steps to minimize as much as we can at the jail.
No question.
Go ahead.
When you said the $305, that's for the old jail?
It was under correction, so I assumed that was the old jail. It was under the sheriff's office.
$305.
Pardon me?
It probably is the old jail that.
Yes,
that would-
and the new jail.
But what would be running over there that would, we have the power for the antenna, right? For $305 is still $305 for nothing going on over there.
Yeah.
I wrote it down. It caught my eye.
Yeah. Right? There's nothing else over there. It's not like there's a boiler running. There's not an AC running. There's.
We go over there maybe 3-4 times a week, but the light usage that we're doing for 10 minutes in there isn't enough to be $300.
Do you guys shut the lights off?
We absolutely shut the lights off, but we do find quite frequently that the lights are on when we're in there. And Tim had actually sent out an email to that was countywide, right?
Yeah.
All the employees,
Remind them.
saying if you're over there, well, the people who use the facility anyway, shut the lights off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll
We
find
need
it on here. The transit or the Miller construction was $19,842. That was for the transit garage doors.
Yeah, which was grant paid.
Yep, the other thing that I can mention, looking at a lot of the supplies and stuff is everything seems to really be, I shouldn't say everything, but a lot of what I seen was like Amazon. And I know Commissioner Scott really stresses from time to time on local, just making sure, again, a lot of things I'm seeing is ordered and making sure that's in the back of our mind to try to support our local stores. What else did we see on there? Couple trainings, nothing really has popped out. The Marine Patrol was on there. Monies for the medical examiner. I think that was really it. Nothing else really caught our eye.
No.
They were pretty light. Questions?
No.
Comments? Roll call vote.
Jenny David.
Yes.
Roger Mayhew.
Yes.
Charles Wiltie.
Yes.
Mark Serbrook.
Yes.
Next we have, where am I? Unfinished business, any? Administrator control report.
You have the report loaded on your iPads this afternoon. I did want to point out at your seat tonight, you should have found a jail expenditure summary. Commissioner Serbrook stopped in late this morning and reminded me we had this template, and since we had all of the data for the first, rather through the second quarter, that we should update this. And my evil plan worked. I mean, it took maybe a half an hour to update it. So it's there. It's one that I know a couple of you have mentioned was handy to have when you were talking at township meetings. So you've got that in front of you. It is two-sided. You've got the table on one side. On the back side is the graph breaking down each of those different segments of activity so that you've got a quick visual comparison as well. An email from Leanne Fisher late this afternoon, one that obviously has her concerned. there was, as Commissioner Serbrook mentioned, a fiscal year 2026 federal budget that was submitted in draft form. It's not been approved yet, but it did propose a 44% overall reduction to HUD, and that's the department that distributes the CDBG grants that help offset the costs for the housing rehabilitation programs that we have. And it was, clearly an eye opener that is telling us that likely there won't be as much funding coming next year for that program. Now, as much as that's bad news, keeping in mind this program's been going on for several years. I'm borderline several decades, I think, maybe a couple. But these monies, when they're distributed to the community, are done so in the form of low interest loans. So if you get a housing rehabilitation project, you're expected to make some payments on that loan to come back to the program, and that are, again, sort of recycled to go back into the community. So all's not lost. There still will be some income coming in. We'll have to wait to see how much of this 44% reduction goes to these programs. So again, she just wanted to give us the heads up that that may be coming for our 26 budget. I had a meeting with Parks and Recreation this morning, not to steal Commissioner Serber.
Be my guest, sir.
We had mentioned during the budget adjustment concerns that we had with cash flow in that fund. And so I was there to talk about that today, but one of the items that caught their eye was expenditure in deer feed and deer supplies this year. It had already exceeded the budget for the entire year. We had budgeted, let's say it was $7,700, and it was over $8,000 already halfway through the year. So they asked to get some detail on that, which I was able to produce. There were only 4 invoices on the year that did that. But they also asked to not only verify those invoices, but to look at previous years just to see where we were in conjunction with those years. And surprisingly enough, particularly in the last few years, it's not unusual for us to be spending somewhere in the neighborhood of $10,000 to $12,000 on deer feed out at the nature park. We had one year, I want to say it was 2 years ago, for some reason it really dropped. I'm sure the deer were fed, so I don't think it was a matter of not getting the food, but that was the outlier. This has been a steadily increasing line item for the last 7 or 8 years that we were able to pull. So it was good. It was a good conversation back and forth. I think the committee now has their, well, they have their questions answered, but now as we go to budget forward, like in 26 and beyond, they'll be armed with that information. So good meeting though, all the way around, very constructive with that group. Last thing I have for you is kind of a good news sort of thing with our new medical examiner group. I had an email from Jo Jean Thompson. She heads up a lot of the different committees that we have that are dealing with drug issues in the county. The email was just a general update. Here's some things that are going on. They're attempting to establish an overdose fatality review board for Ogemaw County. And just reading through the email that was sent out, just widely distributed to everybody she works with, one of the areas that they felt would be helpful would be to have a representative from the medical examiner's office participate. And the question was, who do we contact? Who do we coordinate with to make that happen? So I took the initiative and got a hold of the MMMEG group. And sure enough, their lead investigator will actually be meeting with a representative of this group now on Monday. They're very interested in participating. And I think this is just one more example of the quality of group that we've aligned ourselves with the medical examiner group. They jumped at it. They didn't hesitate. They said, yeah, we'd very much like to be a part of that. So that was, I think, a very positive thing. And it was somewhat personally satisfying to connect the two groups and to make that happen. So I think those updates that we get are just one little nugget like this once in a while. It's very worthwhile distributing that.
Comments, questions for Tim?
I just have one question.
Go ahead.
So Tim, the reason I'm bringing this up is because my thought process is could be something that might cost us additional money, and it's in regards to this issue we're currently having with our boiler systems.
Mhm.
I know you sent an email, I believe, last Friday to us commissioners saying there's some issues. And it sounds like the issues have started when they started to do the process of replacing the boilers. Are we looking at possibly any additional costs because of what's going on? And then also, I know, we did receive another email today from a county employee that they're concerned about the heat in the building and everything else. I mean, did you hear from Weiss's to make sure that this isn't gonna be something that we're gonna all of a sudden have substantial additional costs with this whole transition?
Yeah, so far, there's no indication that there'll be any additional cost to us. So just to summarize what's happened, we have two boilers that operate in this building. They had a choice, and literally you flip a coin, which one do you replace, first? We're gonna do them both at the same time, but have one up and running while one of the boilers is being replaced. Was it last Friday, I guess it was, maybe it was Thursday? Thursday, the email went out to everybody that said the boiler that was operating, the old boiler that was still operating for this building, had malfunctioned and was turned off. And that we anticipate this week to have the manufacturer representatives for the new boiler come in and inspect that job that was done. So Wise is ready to go. They're ready to flip the switch, but can't do it until they get that check off from the manufacturer. If they do, then that's going to void the warranty on that boiler. Well, we don't want to do that. So we sent an email out to everybody in the building saying that boiler's down. In fact, that night, I think the temperatures went down into the 40s, just advising people when they came into work on Friday, dress accordingly. As of today, that team from the manufacturer still isn't here. Our contractor, Wise Plumbing and Heating, has expressed to me some frustration with not only this, still delay. I mean, we still have some of the week left, right? So they could still end up here tomorrow. But some of the materials that they need to install, in this case now the second boiler, are on some kind of a back order. And it's just a whole supply chain thing that I've heard from, on the news, as I'm sure you have as well. But so far, no indication that anything's costing us anything more. In fact, the boilers were here long before there was even talk about these tariffs. So as far as the main expense is concerned, I mean, they already have the materials, just waiting on some parts to install that second boiler. The one boiler that we were counting on, they did recalibrate as best they could earlier in the week, maybe even over the weekend, to put that on the absolute lowest setting it could be on. So the water is being heated to 160 degrees, minimum amount of natural gas being used to heat that. Whatever malfunctioned, really malfunctioned in a big way. It just sort of overrode those safeguards. And so on Monday, when Chris came in to just, begin the day, went in there and the same thing was happening. This thing was overworking, overheating. It was a hazard. So it was just shut right down. We're not going to try to start it back up. It's that dangerous. So it's really just that old boiler that's failing at this point. Anything in the project that we have under contract with Wise so far, other than, again, waiting on parts and waiting on the manufacturer, is on track.
Did you say you received an email from an employee today?
Well, we all did.
Oh, I didn't today.
I didn't
Last week
see
I got
anything.
one from Tim. I didn't get anything from, since Tim sent that generalized email out last week, I haven't received
Right.
anything.
Oh, I thought it was sent to all of us. I received one at 4:36 from an employee.
Oh,
I'm
no,
just frustrated with the fact that the building was so cold today and wondering they want to know what's going on.
that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah, I just
Fair.
wanted you to know I didn't receive one unless
Yeah.
I just looked.
Okay.
Anything else? Any other questions for Tim? Commissioner Serbrook?
I have no questions.
Thanks, Tim. Next we have elected officials and department head reports. Clerk.
Brett Gildner, your Ogemaw County Clerk. I am happy to report that we finished canvassing the election today, earlier this afternoon. So the vote or the results are official now. It was 18% turnout, which is normal for May. it just seemed, I did a lot of traveling around to the new clerks just to make sure that everything was good. Help them out, kind of give them a little bit of reassurance that they were doing a good job. Monday night, the night before the election, I went to Mills to set up and then headed out to Goodar. Their clerk unexpectedly could not work the election, so I went out and set everything up for them. And then made my way to Hill and then Logan. And then election morning back at Logan. That new deputy clerk, Jen, she was there, well, both Nicole and Jen were there along with Nick. I see good things coming from them. I think Jen's gonna be a really good addition. I thought Nicole was a good addition, but I think Jen is gonna be just as good. Kind of give Nick a good support there. But then, we were out of here I think I was out of here by 11 o'clock last night. So, the school millage passed, Cumming Township Road millage failed, and Hill Township Fire passed. As of right now, there has been no talk of countywide millage for August ballot. There is one township potentially that may do their own millage. But I don't want to share which one yet because I don't know positively. That is it.
Logan Township, I was there last night. They said they only had 3 voters that came out.
They,
In person.
3.
3.
yeah. Got a lot of training in though.
Perfect.
It was actually good.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was a good first election for all. I mean, we had five newly elected clerks, but then with Goodar not being able to be there to support them, there were six newbies. So.
Bill, do you have anything to report?
Sure.
We greatly appreciate it.
I'm Phil Durst with MSU Extension. I wanted to tell you about a bullish event that was held recently. It was the Bull Breeding Soundness Exam Clinic out at the Peter Calf Sale Yards, right? And you may laugh, but this is important business because
I've heard about this.
as you know, if you put bulls out with cows
Mhm.
and they don't do the job that they're supposed to do out there, then you can end up with no calves, and that has happened to producers. So I had recruited a veterinarian out of Westphalia, Michigan, because nobody here does it. Because when you examine a bull, first of all, you have to be willing to work with bulls, and bulls are big creatures that can be powerful. They are powerful. And when you examine a bull, what you're doing is physically examining the bull, but also you are ejaculating the bull and examining the semen that is collected. Right? And so we had a veterinarian come up, brings a mobile lab with him. I recruited 2 students from MSU who came up totally green on this thing, but they were trained to do work. They did everything from scrotal circumference measuring to palpation of the rectal palpation of the bull, to collecting semen, to checking motility of sperm, and to counting normal versus abnormal sperm. I hope this is not above anybody's comfort level, okay? But we checked 34 bulls at Saturday, the 28th, I think it was 6th of April. And we had also been around the farms in the TB area, the Alcona, Oscoda, Alpena counties, where they would have had to test their bulls in order to come down to West Branch and test them to go back. So we go around to those farms individually the day before. So in total, we checked about 60 bulls on 15 farms, and some producers got good news and some producers didn't get all good news. So, that's what the value of it is to help the producers have the information they need in order to make decisions for good business. So just wanted to tell you, we're bringing resources to the county to help producers locally.
And it can be financially devastating to a beef farmer.
Yeah.
The reason I was giggling is because my kids went to your event, the exact same event last year, and yeah, they told me the story. And they enjoyed themselves, they learned a lot, but hearing an 18-year-old tell a story of what he experienced watching and learning was, that's why I'm giggling. But anyways, I thank you for all the services that you do bring to Ogemaw County. My son has been attending as he's a beginning beef farmer.
He's been a good attender.
Many of your events and is, comes from a farming background, but he is also learning. So thank you.
Any questions about bulls or anything else? Oh, I should have mentioned if Commissioner Scott was here, I just wanted to know there was plenty of BS involved.
Thank you, sir.
Phil, weren't you a featured speaker in Washington recently, or?
I was in Washington recently, in early April. So may I?
Yes.
Please.
Sure.
So I just finished a term as the president of the Joint Council of Extension Professionals. The Joint Council of Extension Professionals is the board of the 7 extension associations that make up all extension across the nation. So thousands of members, I guess we don't have a count, but probably 6,000 members. And we have an annual conference in the DC area, just outside of DC in Alexandria, Virginia. And then we make hill visits from there. And so I participated in the conference, so it was involved in the conference, obviously as president of JSEP. And then made hill visits on Wednesday, the 9th, I believe it was, of April. Visited Representative Bergman's office, but also offices of several other of our Michigan representatives.
Okay. I knew that you'd gone out there. Julie mentioned it at one of our board meetings, and thank you.
I'm proud to represent Extension.
You do fantastic work, and that's why I'm just trying to get you to toot your own horn a little bit, okay?
Thanks. I believe in Extension, and I believe it's a good investment on the federal side as well as the state side.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
On our iPads, we have reports from the Building Inspections Department, Information Technology Department, Inmate Demographic Report, and Register of Deeds. Did I miss any elected officials or department heads on the phone? Manners from the floor? Motions for adoption? Commissioners report. Commissioner Wiltie?
Just a couple of things. You saw on our iPads, we had the EMS equipment millage breakdown. Now, that wasn't all of that money, but that was a new millage that the county residents passed. And I think transparency is extremely important so the residents know what their money is being used for. So our new director out there is doing a fantastic job, put that together, and we'll make sure to get that out so people in the county can see what their money is being used for. We had opiate settlement committee before this. It was a very good meeting. Just within 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago, we had a face-to-face opiate settlement meeting here. And it was the meeting that we really were looking for, that we needed. It was a great meeting. We really got into the meat and potatoes of everything. And I'm happy to say that after this coming month, Tim's going to be working on our RFPs. I left you guys some information. You have an example of Mecosta County's RFPs there. We're going to carbon copy a lot of that. We do have some things, some wordage that needs to get put in from, Ogemaw County side, but we're getting very close. So in our beginning of June meeting, we should have that to review. Tim's going to get that out a week before. So we have any questions, we can review. And then hopefully from there, we'll be able to green that to us, to the committee of whole for that next meeting in June. And by the end of June, hopefully, but latest, July, our RFPs will start to go out. So we're really excited to get this moving forward.
Why'd you choose this county?
It was Sam Price, who's one of our board members, sent that to us. And we just were looking at all sorts of different options. And that was just one that was sent to us to review.
Okay,
If I can add, this is a template from Michigan Association of Counties. If you look at
Right.
the logo on there, Max got a template and that was the template that Macosta completed.
okay.
So it was just to give us an idea as to what they had included on the template and Tim's gonna craft it. I'm not trying to steal your thunder here, Charles.
No, you're fine. I was about finished.
Okay.
Just added that, Commissioner David, you probably remember Amy from,
Yeah, MSU.
she's back,
she is.
which is great, yeah. They had funding come back, she came back, she's been a huge supporter of ours. She really actually wrote that, it sounds like, with Mac. And Macasa was just a little ahead of us, so you're using that, now we're just looking at other counties that are, a little ahead of us, so we can come up with, what's best for our format, and Tim, you made it sound, you really were impressed with that as well, so.
Yeah, it's gonna make that so much easier when we put ours together. Now, we have our requirements, for instance, our insurance requirements. And things of that nature that we have, and so we'll include that in our copy, but this provides the real meat. This is what the vendors are gonna be looking at, in terms of what they're gonna bid on, so this was extremely helpful.
So do they decide what resources they're bringing into, they have to offer? Is that I guess I don't understand this, but there'll be more to come. Thank you for the information.
Oh, yeah, there'll be a lot more, hopefully, like I said, hopefully we'll have a committee whole meeting in the beginning of June, and we can really have that all for you guys to look at and.
I'll read it. Okay.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, I've got a lot of my meetings are coming up here in the next couple weeks, so that's all I have for tonight.
Commissioner Serbrook? Everybody reported on yours already.
No, they haven't. No. Well,
Oh, I have a question. I'm sorry. Commissioner Wiltie, talking about millages, I apologize.
no, that's
The
fine.
transit, is there a possibility you're gonna have a millage in August, or is that not on the table at all?
I don't believe so. We have a transit meeting, we'll have that coming up here for further discussion, but I don't believe that we're gonna,
Really?
Before the 15th,
what's that?
before the 15th, that's the deadline.
That's the deadline. Yeah, I don't believe we're gonna.
Okay, it was, while we were just discussing that popped in my head, and I apologize. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. We had, almost did it again. Well, Vance, CMH, Commissioner Wiltse sits on that. We did interviews. We interviewed 2 candidates for the incoming CEO's position. Did that last Monday, and then we had a 3rd candidate that was out of state that informed us that she had pneumonia and she was given the opportunity to take and come to a meeting that we had this past Monday, which she agreed to. We all met on Monday, and she had called the recruiter that was facilitating the interview, saying that she had accepted a position with another agency someplace. So we continued with our deliberations on the 2 people that we had interviewed for the position, and the board voted to make a job offer, and that offer was accepted by Patricia O'Trumbull, who also sits on our advice. She's currently the employee of Well Vance, and the other candidate was an internal candidate from Well Vance as well. They both did very, very well on their interviews. It was a pretty tight scoring, but Trish has accepted the position, so she's going to become the associate CEO until Diane Peltz retires, which is going to be in August. So we look forward to working with Trish. She is a bundle of energy. She is very positive. She's worked for the organization for, I want to say 20 years now. So she's very well versed in things. So look forward to her. I had my NIPSCO meeting last Friday, and we had another meeting on Tuesday. The Tuesday meeting, we basically went over, what the 5-year outlook is gonna be. We chose what we thought were gonna be the priorities. Childcare, transportation. It looks like in the budget, again, this whole federal budget thing's all up in the air, but the federal budget that I understand that the Trump administration has presented totally cuts funding to Head Start. So that's a huge concern, obviously. We're just gonna have to wait and see on that. As Tim alluded to, we Parks and Rec met. We are gonna look at the deer feed issue, and just to give you guys the research that Tim did. In fiscal year 24, we spent $10,480 for deer feed. And again, this year, we're just over 7,000 already for this fiscal year. So with the budget adjustment, increase that budget to 14,700. We're going to, I'm sure when we meet again, look at who is the cost from the supplier that we currently have. Evidently, there was a different supplier that had been used in the past. I'm fairly new to that committee. So we're probably gonna take a look at doing some cost analysis.
Who's your current supplier?
Ultimate Feed, I think, is out on M33, just south of 55 there. I think it's Ultimate Feed, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's what I thought, yeah.
Really?
So I think what's happening is the manager at the deer park is just ordering the feed. I don't think he's,
Oh,
no, I mean, I don't think that he's really looking at the cost. It's just like the deer need feed. We've been buying from this company for the last 4 years. That's our supplier. He just calls and orders it and comes in. You know, so I don't think there's been any cost comparison
wow.
in recently. So that's the direction we're gonna head in. Let's do some cost comparison because the committee informed me that they had looked at the co-op here locally because they can custom mix. And when they were buying from Ultimate, the quote that they got from the co-op here was more expensive than what Ultimate was. So we're gonna.
Should also check with Travis Miller and Standish Milling.
So. And as Commissioner Wilson said, we had opioid, so.
Commissioner Mayhew.
I went to the meeting on Committee on Aging and I ain't got a lot going, pretty
Oh.
quiet. That was it.
I attended 2 township meetings this past week. I did not attend Michigan Works. They had a gathering. They did not have a routine meeting. They had a gathering at the Loons for a team building day. So I unfortunately was not able to attend that meeting, but Richland Township was last Monday night. They had quite a large agenda. Their campground will be opening there at Hardwood Lake very soon. They talked about some campsites. They talked about some campground updates. Their library over there, they are waiting to find out as far as insurance, it's been inspected to find out how much monies they're gonna get for the insurance. And what they were gonna do as far as a millage. They know the deadline is May 15th. I think they're waiting to see if the school millage would be back on there in August. So they are aware, and I'm sure.
I just spoke to Dale right before this meeting just to confirm, and he said no.
Oh, they're not putting it on?
No.
Hopefully, because they did go over the cost analysis of that is what the township supports. The entire library, all the contents, everything was insured. So if they get the full amount of that, it is quite a large sum. So hopefully they can come up with something. That is very much needed over there. Mary, who is the deputy clerk to the treasurer over there, also attended the meeting. They were asking she and oh gosh. Mr. Oh, I can see his face.
At Richland,
Yeah,
Miller?
no. I'll think of it in a minute. They were asking for some new computers. He uses his own personal computer and they want a computer that he both can take at the hall and to home. Mary was very good. She brought in a couple of bids, couple of costs, funding, and they actually postponed voting on it.
The treasurer?
They had a lot of, yes.
Aaron.
Perrin, there you go. Mr. Perrin, yes. Marijuana facility over there has switched hands. The very large marijuana facility over there on Sage Lake Road. Yeah, they were looking at closing. Richland Township had a special meeting. Their overall tax amount for their licensing has decreased of what they're gonna be paying Richland Township, and they have switched hands now. So there's one company that's growing it and the previous company is going to be distributing it. So I don't understand all that, but there's currently 2 companies now involved because they were having some financial hardships, as many of these marijuana facilities are because of the cost of licensing. So Logan Township, I attended that last night. That was also a fairly lengthy meeting. I'm glad that election went well. They did report that they only had 3 in-person voters, but they had more absentee ballots. I think he said he had 10 total. It wasn't many anyways. Logan Township, they talked about renovations on the hall. They talked about a possible grant to apply for a generator for like an emergency place if a lot of people went without heat for a period of time north of here. So that was brought up last night. Some flags for the cemetery, resealing on the parking lot. The new assessor, because the previous assessor resigned, Casey, his name is Casey, he was there, introduced himself. The deputy clerk was there as well. She introduced herself. She is a part-time employee for our auditor company, so I'm sure she brings in a lot of information. Both the deputy clerks, Mary with all her background, it was nice to see her over there, and then this Jen, they come with a lot of experience and a lot of expertise. So they talked about putting the fire millage on. That they said was brought, somebody was checking on that with you today, was supposed to be, to make sure that that millage verbiage has been brought to you and that it's a go ahead.
It is not a go ahead.
Again, they were bringing
Yes.
it to you with the information. So you do have it.
I was in
correct?
contact with somebody today. It is not a go ahead 100% yet.
Okay, but they're in contact with you. So they, that millage is, I believe, is reached its deadline. So I have a 911 meeting this upcoming week. This should be pretty well attended, talking about those radios. And then also, just so everybody knows, it's a ordinance meeting to do a public hearing through the zoning to talk about wind patrol or solar. That is May, hang on, let me give you the exact date. It's gonna impact a lot of our counties. If anybody wants to attend, I highly encourage. Oh gosh, Ryan sent it to me. It's the last week in May. I pulled it out last night.
Wind and solar.
Yes, it's the ordinance, it's a public hearing for the ordinance on it, which will impact a lot of us. So it is, I got it right here, Wednesday, May 23rd. Oh, hang on, there will be no meeting Wednesday, the 23rd, I'm sorry, May 28th,
What time?
6 p.m. Renewable energy ordinance, wind specifically,
6 p.m. at the annex.
before we are ready for a public hearing. Yes. So there's gonna be discussion on it, if you have input, and then it sounds like a public hearing. So I guess that's what Ryan's email says to me. Again, I'm encouraging everybody to get involved in this because it's going to impact a lot of us. Anybody miss anything? Any public comment? We have nobody. Any public comment on the phone? Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Support? All in favor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
Good night, everyone.